Hi everyone, it's Barbara and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to create some farmhouse fall decor using items from Dollar Tree. For the first project, we're going to create this cute sign. Starting off with one of the Dollar Tree signs, I'm going to remove the ribbon as well as the staples from the back. Now I like this sign because they all three look like arrows. And then we're going to remove the paper from the front, and it's going to have that nice rough texture which I wanted for this particular sign to make it look a little rustic. I will sand that down to get it a little bit more smoother and get all that excess paper off as well as the edges. And because I don't throw anything away, I'm going to use this stake that came off of a Dollar Tree sign last year where I removed the signs. Now I'm just going to remove the little staples and nails that are in there, and I can sand that down nice and smooth. To paint, I am going to paint one of these in the Waverly White chalk paint. I'm only going to put one coat on there because, again, I want it to have a little bit of a distressed rustic look. The other sign, I'm going to use the Waverly chalk paint in the color Celery. I am making sure that I paint the outside edges and the front only. And for the last one, I'm going to use some Apple Barrel Pumpkin Orange. Again, all of these only took one coat. Now that they have dried, I'm going to set those to the side for just a moment and use one of these small styrofoam pumpkins that came off of a pick from Dollar Tree and cut that in half. I'm going to set one half to the side and keep it as a pumpkin. And originally, I cut the other half in half, and I painted the outside edges in the Waverly chalk paint in the color Crimson to create apple slices. Now I do end up changing this because I don't like the way they look. I'm using some Dollar Tree air clay, and I've not used their clay before. It was very, very dry. I have had it for a while, so I did make sure that I put it in a Ziploc bag to keep longer. I'm just going to work with that, and it's not going to be completely smooth, and I'm okay with that because I wanted some of those cracks to show through. So I'm going to form two balls and then squish it around to form the shape of a marshmallow. Once I have that shape, I'm going to push it flat on one side, on the back side, so it still has the marshmallow shape, but it is completely flat on the back so that I'll be able to attach that to my sign. And here you can see it kind of looks like just a half moon, flat on the back. And I'll do that for the other one. I'm taking just a plain twig, and I'm going to break that down into two pieces and insert that into the side so that the flat part is on the back side, and this is going to create our marshmallows. Set those to the side, and I'm going to allow that to set up overnight. It takes about 24 hours for that clay to dry. And I'm using some of these stickers from Dollar General. I love the font that these have, and you can pick these up. I think they're about $2 a pack. I'm going to spell out the word cider, patch, and s'mores, and then I'm going to hot glue that half pumpkin down and use some of Waverly's chalk paint in the color Truffle just to dry brush over those ridges to kind of bring them out a little more. Take another piece of that twig and insert it in the top for the stem. And this is where I was trying to place those apple slices, and I just didn't like it. So I took another half of another styrofoam pumpkin and I painted it in the crimson color. Again, I was not satisfied with this because it still showed the ribs for the pumpkin. So then I end up going in and adding some spackling to fill in those ribs. I will let that set up to dry. Now that the clay has dried, I'm going to paint these in white, and I'm just going to use a very light coat because I wanted those cracks to show through, and it just gave it a lot more of a realistic marshmallow look that have already been burnt in the fire. I will paint the stake in two coats of the Waverly White chalk paint, including the outside edging, and attach the s'mores, the marshmallow piece to the s'more sign using E6000 and hot glue. I wasn't too sure about the clay, so that is why I used the E6000 to make sure that they would stay in place. And now that the apple has dried, the spackling, I can sand that down smooth and touch that up with the crimson red paint. And I also added a stem to that apple. Now I can attach my signs to the stake, and I'm using E6000 and hot glue. And I didn't want them to be perfectly straight. I kind of wanted them to go at an angle. And once I have all of those in place, this cute sign is finished. I love how it turned out. You could put this in a flower pot with some mums. That would be really beautiful. Now, if you do put it outside, I do recommend you put a clear coat on it to protect it. Today's video is part of a fun fall night collaboration, which is hosted by Lisa Marie at Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. This playlist is full of amazing and talented crafters. I hope that you will go over and check out the playlist, which I will have linked in my description box below, and check out all the amazing videos and inspiration that you can get for this fall season. If this is your first time visiting my channel and you are enjoying today's video, I would love for you to click that subscribe button and the notification bell, as well as visit me on Instagram, my website for free printables, and my Pinterest board. For our second project, we're going to start off with one of these wooden boxes with the lids from Dollar Tree. Set the lid to the side. We don't need that for this DIY, but you will need 3 of the bottom parts of those boxes, as well as some Gorilla Wood glue and hot glue. I'm using that to attach 2 of the boxes together. Squeeze it really tightly to make sure you get a nice good seal, and then you can attach the 3rd box to those 2 boxes, all side by side. Then I took some sandpaper because these boxes tend to be a little rough and have some rough edging on. You will also need 2 of these wooden crates from Dollar Tree. They have the solid sides on the outside, just the indentions of where the slats would be. We're going to attach these 2 together side by side using the wood glue and hot glue. Sand that down nice and smooth with some fine grit sandpaper. And then we can take those 2 boxes and attach the 3 boxes that we previously made using the same wood glue and hot glue and attaching the 3 in front of the 2. Now the 2 in the back will be slightly sticking out on the sides, but that's okay. This is going to create a really beautiful tray. I was very careful to paint only the outside edging of this entire tray in my Waverly White chalk paint because I wanted to leave the inside with the raw wood color. So I did make sure that I painted that top ledge right in the front where those 2 crates are in the white, but I wanted the rest of it to be a natural wood. I created this s'mores station as a free printable. I will have this on my website, which is linked in my description box below, where you can go over and print this out for yourself and for your project. I'm going to cut this down. I printed it out on just plain printer paper and then attach this to the front of our tray using some matte Mod Podge. Once I have that on there and all the wrinkles are pushed out, there are no air bubbles, I will go over the front of that with the matte Mod Podge to seal everything in. Set that to the side for just a moment and using just a plain, simple mason jar that I already had on hand, as well as this beautiful fall leaf ribbon, which I purchased from Hobby Lobby when it was on sale. I believe it says $3.99, but I know that it was on sale, so it was probably about $2. I attached that to the top rim of this mason jar using hot glue, and now you can just put some Dollar Tree barbecue skewers in there and place that down into your tray. Using one of the glass candle holders from Dollar Tree, as well as one of these fancy heat cans that you can pick up from Dollar Tree, I'm just going to place that on the glass candle holder and then surround that with some of these gorgeous decorative rocks from Dollar Tree. And I just love that blend of black and white and brown. Fill your tray up with all the s'mores goodies, and I just love how this turned out. It is very beautiful. You guys, let me know what you think of project number 2. Okay, you guys, let's get started on project number 3. Using a 13 by 9 inch cookie pan from Dollar Tree, remove that tag and the little sticky glue piece, and I'm taking just a plain piece of poster board, and I've held that up to the top of the cookie sheet, pressed around it to make an indentation so that I can cut this out to make a template. Once you know that's going to fit in there, I'm using one of these vinyl placemats. I actually found this one at Family Dollar. So I know that Dollar Tree does have some really beautiful placemats. Once I have my template cut out, I'm just going to hold that in front of the placemat to cut that out, make sure everything's going to fit and trim any necessary pieces down. Before we attach that to the cookie sheet, I'm going to take some Waverly White chalk paint and paint the outside rim of the cookie pan as well as somewhat in the inside to make sure everything is nice and crisp and white. Then I'm going to flip it over to the back side. I thought it would be really beautiful to create the bottom and those outside edges in a galvanized metal look. So I'm using some gray Decor chalky finish paint, which I have listed in my Amazon store, but you can also pick this up at Hobby Lobby. I'm using a dry brush and just pouncing that up and down all over the back side of this pan. And once that dries, I'm going to take some of the same white paint and pounce that all over the back to get the galvanized look. Then I'll take that gray and go back over, pouncing it up and down to blend in that white until I get the look that I am going for. I also made sure I did the outside of the pan, so from the sides to the bottom, everything is galvanized looking. Then I took matte Mod Podge and went over all of my white chalk paint to seal that in, as well as applied a nice even coat all over the top part of this cookie pan. And you'll want to use a generous amount, but make sure that everything's nice and even. Now I can take my placemat and apply a thin line of hot glue on the outside edge and then press that down to get a nice good seal. I set a couple of cans of paint that I already had right there next to me to allow that to press everything firmly until the Mod Podge sets up. I am using some hemp rope, and I like to use hemp rope because it does not fray like jute rope, and I wanted a nice clean look as a border for this tray, so that is why I chose to use the hemp rope. And I'm going to hot glue that down around the top part of this tray where the vinyl placemat and the cookie pan meet, really making sure that I get those corners pressed in there. Once I get to the end, I can cut my excess hemp rope off and hot glue that last little piece down to blend everything in nice and pretty. I'm also going to use a length of the hemp rope, and another thing I like about this is that you don't have to put tape on the end of it because it doesn't fray. If you want to make something with some beads, you don't have to tape the end, you can just feed your beads on there. I'm using some beads from a very large assorted bag that I purchased from Amazon, which I have linked in my Amazon store in my description box below if you are interested. So I just tied one end in a knot, and then once I get 13 beads on there, I'm going to tie the other end in a knot and cut the excess off. I created 2 of these to make some really beautiful decorative handles for our tray. Now, I do recommend that you add some E6000. Here I'm showing you that I'm only using hot glue. They did pop off, so I do have to go back and add some E6000 to hold those in place. Attach those to the top of the tray, and now you have a gorgeous fall tray that you can put apple cider on, hot chocolate, coffee, whatever your heart desires for those nice, cool fall nights. You guys, if you have a favorite, please let me know in the comment section down below which one is your favorite. I always love to know. Please make sure to check out the playlist for all the beautiful fall inspiration. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you guys next time.